Imagine walking barefoot across your kitchen floor in the middle of the night, the very same floor where your toddler crawls during the day and where your family dog spends his afternoons napping. You flip on the light and see a cockroach scuttle under the refrigerator. Without a second thought, you reach into the cabinet for that familiar bright yellow aerosol can. You aim, you press the nozzle, and a fine, oily mist of chemicals fills the air. You watch the insect curl up and die, and you feel a sense of relief. You think you have solved the problem. You think you are protecting your sanctuary. But what if I told you that the liquid sitting in that can is actually a sophisticated cocktail of neurotoxins designed to bridge the gap between insect biology and human health in ways the giant chemical corporations hope you never investigate? For over 60 years, the modern consumer has been conditioned to believe that the only way to win the war against pests is through total chemical annihilation. We have been sold a professional lie that these brightly colored bottles are a necessary evil for a clean and hygienic home. But have you ever truly looked at the fine print on the back of those cans? You will see harrowing warnings about ventilation, skin contact, and the need for immediate medical attention if the substance is swallowed or even inhaled in large quantities. Yet, we continue to spray these substances on our baseboards, under our beds, and near our food preparation areas every single day of the year. These synthetic pesticides do not simply vanish once the chemical smell fades from the room. They are persistent. Science tells us that many of the most common household sprays contain ingredients linked to endocrine disruption, chronic respiratory issues, and long-term neurological damage. We are essentially conducting a massive, uncontrolled experiment on our own families just to get rid of a handful of ants or a single spider. The hidden cost of this convenience is far higher than the $10 you spent at the supermarket. The multi-billion-dollar pest control industry thrives on your fear and your desire for a quick fix. They want you to stay locked in a cycle of buying expensive, disposable cans of poison every month. They want you to believe that the word natural is synonymous with ineffective. But while you are worrying about the bugs, these corporations are laughing all the way to the bank, knowing that the real danger in your home is not the six-legged intruder, but the toxic cloud you just invited into your living room. Today, the veil is being lifted. It is time to stop the invisible war on your health and discover the ancient, forgotten secret that kills bugs more effectively than any chemical ever could, without putting a single drop of poison on your floor. What if the ultimate solution to your pest problems was not a complex chemical formula cooked up in a high-security laboratory, but a simple, white powder that has existed on this planet for over 30 million years? It is a substance so ancient and so common that it is literally a part of the Earth's crust. Yet, it is the one thing the multi-billion-dollar chemical giants hope you never find in your local hardware store. This substance is called Diatomaceous Earth, often referred to simply as DE. To the naked eye, it looks like nothing more than harmless white flour or crushed chalk. It is soft to the touch and completely odorless. But for an insect, this innocent-looking dust is the stuff of nightmares. Diatomaceous earth is not a poison. It is not a toxin. It is not even a chemical in the traditional sense of the word. Instead, it is the fossilized remains of tiny, aquatic organisms called diatoms. These microscopic creatures lived in the oceans and lakes of the prehistoric world, building intricate, glass-like shells made of silica. When they died, their shells settled to the bottom of the water, forming massive deposits of what we now call diatomite. When this rock is mined and ground into a fine powder, it becomes one of the most powerful and versatile pest control agents ever discovered by man. So, why have you likely never seen a flashy television commercial for Diatomaceous Earth? Why isn't it the #1 recommendation from every professional exterminator? The answer is simple and, quite frankly, a bit cynical. You cannot patent a fossil. A corporation cannot own a mountain of 30-million-year-old algae shells. Because diatomaceous earth is a naturally occurring mineral, it is incredibly inexpensive to produce, and it never expires. A single 10-pound bag, which costs less than a few cans of name-brand poison, can protect an entire house for years. From a corporate perspective, there is simply no profit in a solution that is this cheap, this effective, and this permanent. Furthermore, the chemical industry relies on the revolving door of pest control. They want you to spray, wait for the chemicals to dissipate, and then spray again when the next generation of bugs arrives. They sell you a temporary fix. Diatomaceous earth, on the other hand, provides a physical barrier that stays active as long as it remains dry. It represents a fundamental threat to the business model of toxic convenience. By choosing this stone dust, you are not just killing bugs. You are opting out of a system designed to keep you spending money on substances that compromise your family's health. This is the forbidden truth of the pest control world. The best weapon we have is one that nature gave us for free, millions of years before the first chemical factory was ever built. To truly understand why this simple stone dust is so lethal to our six-legged enemies, we have to leave the human world behind and look at the environment through a high-powered microscope. When you hold a handful of diatomaceous earth, it feels like soft, harmless powder, almost like cornstarch or flour. But to a cockroach, an ant, a bedbug, or a flea, crawling through this dust is the equivalent of a human being walking through a field of jagged broken glass and microscopic razor blades. Insects do not have skin like we do. Instead, they are encased in a rigid outer shell called an exoskeleton, which is made of a tough material known as chitin. To survive, an insect must keep its internal moisture from evaporating. To achieve this, nature has coated their chitin shells with an incredibly thin, waxy layer of lipids. This microscopic coating of oil is the only thing standing between a healthy insect and a shriveled, dehydrated corpse. It is their primary defense against the dry air of our homes. This is where the diatomaceous earth performs its silent, mechanical execution. The fossilized shells of the diatoms are composed of silica, one of the hardest and sharpest minerals on Earth. At a microscopic level, these shells are shaped like tiny spiked wheels and serrated shards. As an insect moves through the powder, these invisible razor blades score and cut deep into the waxy coating of their exoskeleton. But the attack does not stop at physical trauma. Silica is also one of the most powerful natural desiccants in existence. Once the waxy protective layer is breached by the sharp edges of the dust, the diatomaceous earth begins to rapidly absorb the internal fluids and oils from the insect's body. The result is inevitable and absolute. Within a matter of hours or days, the insect literally dries out from the inside out. It is a purely physical process. There are no complex chemical reactions, no interference with the nervous system, and no toxic buildup. It is simply the laws of physics and biology working in tandem to remove the pest from your environment. This brings us to the greatest scientific advantage of using stone dust over traditional sprays: the end of biological resistance. When you use a chemical pesticide, you are using a neurotoxin designed to interfere with an insect's brain or muscles. Over the last 50 years, insects have performed a terrifying feat of evolution. They have developed biological resistances to common chemicals like pyrethroids and organophosphates. This is why the spray that worked 5 years ago often seems useless today. The survivors of a chemical spray pass their immunity to their offspring, creating a generation of superbugs that require even more toxic formulas to kill. However, an insect can no more develop a resistance to diatomaceous earth than a human can develop a resistance to a saw blade. You cannot evolve your way out of being physically shredded and dehydrated. Because the mechanism of death is mechanical rather than chemical, it remains 100% effective, generation after generation. By switching to this ancient mineral, you are effectively winning the evolutionary arms race in your own home, using a weapon that has been perfected by nature over millions of years. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about the labels on those traditional insecticide cans once again. They are covered in tiny, frightening icons of skulls and crossbones, or bolded warnings, telling you to keep the product out of reach of children and pets. They warn you to wash your hands immediately after use, and to seek medical attention if you accidentally inhale the vapor. This is because those products are, by definition, poisons. They are designed to kill living organisms by attacking their biological systems. But when we transition to using diatomaceous earth, the entire safety profile of your home undergoes a radical transformation. The most incredible thing about this stone dust is that the highest quality version of it is classified as food grade. This means that it is not only safe to have around your kitchen, it is actually approved for human consumption and is widely used in the commercial food industry. For decades, farmers have mixed food-grade diatomaceous earth into large grain silos to protect our food supply from weevils and beetles without using liquid chemicals. If you have eaten a bowl of cereal or a piece of bread today, there is a very high statistical chance that you have already safely consumed trace amounts of this natural mineral. For pet owners, this is a complete game changer. Anyone who has ever struggled with a flea infestation knows the drill. You buy expensive, spot-on treatments that you oily apply to the back of your dog or cat's neck. These treatments are often powerful neurotoxins that enter your pet's bloodstream to kill the fleas that bite them. With diatomaceous earth, you can skip the internal toxins entirely. You can rub this fine powder directly into your pet's fur, or sprinkle it onto their bedding. It kills the fleas and ticks physically, without any risk of chemical side effects, skin irritation, or long-term health issues for your furry friends. The same peace of mind applies to the most vulnerable members of our families, our children. Babies and toddlers spend a massive portion of their early lives on the floor. They crawl, they play, and as every parent knows, they put almost everything they find into their mouths. When you spray chemical pesticides along your baseboards, you are creating a toxic perimeter exactly where your child's hands and knees spend the most time. By replacing those sprays with food-grade diatomaceous earth, you are creating a shield that is 100% lethal to bugs, but as safe as common dirt for your children. By removing these synthetic chemicals from your daily environment, you are doing more than just killing bugs. You are lowering the cumulative toxic load on your family's immune systems. You are ensuring that the air you breathe while you sleep is free of volatile organic compounds. You are reclaiming your home as a true sanctuary, a place where life can flourish, and where the only thing being exterminated is the unwanted pests, not your sense of security. This is the ultimate luxury, a home that is both perfectly clean and perfectly safe, all thanks to a handful of prehistoric dust. Now that you understand the science and the safety, let us talk about how you can actually implement this 30-million-year-old secret in your own home today. The application of diatomaceous earth is incredibly simple, but there is one golden rule you must remember: less is more. Many people make the mistake of pouring thick lines of powder across their floors, creating what looks like a miniature mountain range of white dust. However, insects are not stupid. If they see a massive pile of powder, they will simply walk around it. To be truly effective, you want to apply a layer so thin that it is almost invisible to the naked eye. You want the insect to walk right through it, without even realizing they have just stepped into their own destruction. The best way to achieve this is with a simple hand duster or even a clean condiment squeeze bottle. Focus your efforts on the insect highways of your home. This means puffing a fine cloud of dust behind your refrigerator, under the stove, inside the dark corners of your kitchen cabinets, and along the baseboards in your basement. If you are dealing with bed bugs, apply it into the crevices of your bed frame and along the seams of your mattress. For ants, find their point of entry and leave a light dusting near the door frames or windowsills. This powder is effective against almost every crawling pest imaginable, from silverfish and earwigs to the most stubborn German cockroaches and wood-boring beetles. There is one important technical detail to keep in mind. Diatomaceous earth only works when it is dry. Because its mechanism of action is based on physical absorption and sharp edges, moisture will temporarily neutralize its effectiveness. If the powder gets wet, it will clump together and lose its ability to cut and dehydrate the insects. However, once the area dries out again, the powder regains all of its lethal properties. This is why a single application in a dry area, like an attic or wall void, can remain active for decades, providing a permanent shield that never loses its potency. By choosing this natural stone dust, you are doing more than just killing bugs. You are reclaiming your power as a consumer. You are taking a stand against a multi-billion-dollar chemical industry that has spent decades convincing you that poison is the only way to live a clean life. You are choosing biology over chemistry and safety over convenience. You are finally stopping the invisible war on your own floors. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today to uncover the truth about our domestic environment. It is my hope that this information helps you create a safer, healthier sanctuary for yourself and your loved ones. I am very curious to hear your perspective on this. Have you ever used diatomaceous earth in your own home, or are you still using traditional chemical sprays? Do you think the big chemical corporations are intentionally hiding these natural alternatives? Please, leave a comment below and share your experiences or questions with the community. I look forward to reading every single one of your thoughts.